20 million? Don't make me laugh. My brother's voice slithered with venom, echoing off the stairwell walls. He leaned casually against the banister, eyes glinting with mockery, like every success of mine was an insult carved into his pride. Hi everyone, my name is Claire Monroe, I'm 32. And if you think money can buy respect from the people who raised you, let me be your warning. Success doesn't silence envy, it fuels it. That night the contract papers were still fresh in my bag, the ink barely dry. I had just signed a $20 million deal that could change my life forever. My hands trembled, not from fear but from the weight of achievement. I imagined hugs, maybe tears of pride, the kind of celebration I'd starved for since childhood. But when I opened my front door, silence greeted me. Not awe, not love. Just my brother's smirk. He took one step toward me. You'll never be better than me. You just bought your own fall. And before I could respond, his hand was on my shoulder, cold and ruthless. The world spun as my body crashed against the steps, each wooden edge slamming into my ribs until darkness swallowed me whole. I woke to sterile lights, machines humming a cruel lullaby. My father's voice cracked through the fog. You deserved it, Claire. Maybe now you'll stay in your place. His words stung more than the broken bones. Days later the room filled with laughter. Their laughter. My family gathered around my bed like vultures circling fresh meat. Their words were sharp, deliberate, meant to carve me down to nothing. My chest tightened, breath shallow, but I didn't cry. I simply turned my head, and that's when the door opened. The shadow that stepped in beside me made my father's face drain white. His scream tore through the air. Oh my God, it's... The moment that would shatter every lie was finally here. The room froze, their laughter sliced in half like someone had pressed pause on reality. My father's hand, mid-gesture, trembled and then dropped to his side. My mother's smile vanished, replaced by the kind of fear you only see when ghosts walk in. And there he was, standing tall, calm and terrifyingly certain. The man my family thought they had erased from my life. The man whose name they swore I'd never say aloud again. My mentor, my protector, my secret weapon. Jonathan Hale. The lawyer they had all underestimated, the one who had guided me through every contract, every loophole, every quiet betrayal. My brother stuttered. What? You're supposed to be. Jonathan cut him off with a voice like steel wrapped in velvet. Supposed to be gone? Forgotten? You thought burying the truth meant it would stay underground. But Claire doesn't bury. She rises. The tension pressed against my skin. The heart monitor betrayed me, spiking with every word. My family's faces flickered between denial and dread, a silent admission that they knew exactly what was about to unfold. I remembered every sacrifice, the nights I went without food so I could save for my degree, the jobs they mocked, the endless taunts of being the useless one. And now here I was, with a contract worth $20 million in my bag, broken bones in my body, and a fortress of proof Jonathan had collected for years. Claire, my father finally spat, voice shaking, don't think this stranger can protect you. Blood is blood. I locked eyes with him, my throat raw, my voice low but unshakable. Blood is nothing without loyalty. Jonathan stepped closer, placing a thick folder on the rolling hospital tray with a deliberate thud. Papers spilled out, bank records, deeds, hidden transfers. Every secret they thought was invisible was suddenly in the light. My mother gasped, clutching the edge of my bed. My brother lunged forward, but Jonathan raised a single hand. The room obeyed his silence. I sat straighter, pain clawing at my ribs, but I didn't flinch. For the first time in years I had the power. Not just money, not just proof, but the kind of truth that could burn their entire empire down. And in that silence I whispered a vow only I could hear. This was just the beginning. The folder sat between us like a live grenade. My father's fingers twitched as if he wanted to snatch it up and bury it before the ink could scorch his pride. My mother looked away, her nails digging into her palm. My brother sneered, trying to mask his panic with bravado, but his eyes betrayed him. Jonathan slid the top page toward me, steady and unhurried. Claire, this is what they never wanted you to see. Every lie, every dollar stolen from you, every manipulation. It's all here. My hands shook as I picked it up. Property deeds signed under my name when I was too young to understand. Bank accounts drained. Even my college fund, gone before I ever set foot in a lecture hall. My chest burned. Every sacrifice I thought was poverty was theft. You did this to me? My voice cracked, not with weakness but with fury wrapped in disbelief. All those nights you said we couldn't afford groceries. You were stealing my future? My mother whispered, "It was for the family." I laughed, bitter and sharp. For the family? Or for your favorite child? My eyes locked on my brother. His smug grin faltered. Jonathan leaned forward, his voice like a blade. The law doesn't care about favorites. And neither does the truth. You all used Claire's earnings, her name, her trust. That ends now. My father snapped, his temper finally breaking. You think you can destroy us? You're still just a child to me. Nothing. You wouldn't have a dime if it weren't for us. But his words felt hollow now. The power he once had over me was gone, shattered in the sterile light of the hospital room. My heart pounded, not from fear but from awakening. I turned to Jonathan, my voice steady even as tears blurred the pages. Show me everything. Every single page. He nodded, sliding the stack closer. Piece by piece, Claire. Tonight we rebuild your story. Not theirs. For the first time in my life I didn't feel small. I felt unstoppable, even in a hospital gown, even with bruises blooming across my skin. They had pushed me down the stairs, mocked me at my weakest, told me I deserved pain. But now they would learn what I truly deserved. And as my father's jaw clenched and my mother's shoulders trembled, I realized the truth wasn't just my weapon. It was their undoing. Jonathan straightened, adjusting his tie like he was stepping into a courtroom rather than a hospital room. His voice carried authority, every syllable deliberate, slicing through the stale air. Let's start with the simplest truth, he said, flipping to the first set of documents. Claire's signing bonus, the one you mocked her for, is entirely hers. Not yours to siphon, not yours to manage. She's the sole owner of her contract. My father scoffed, though his eyes darted nervously at the papers. That money wouldn't exist without us raising her. We're entitled to something. Jonathan's calm smile was sharper than any insult. You're entitled to nothing. And if you continue, you'll be entitled to subpoenas. The word subpoena sent a ripple through the room. My mother shifted uncomfortably in her chair. My brother muttered, "This is ridiculous." But Jonathan silenced him with a look so cold it cut deeper than words. I inhaled, feeling the oxygen in the room bend toward me. 4 years I'd been their scapegoat, mocked, dismissed, treated like an afterthought. Now every secret they buried rose to the surface, piece by piece. Jonathan laid down another document. This is the deed to Claire's grandmother's property. Signed over without her knowledge when she was 17. Illegal, fraudulent, punishable by law. My mother gasped audibly, whispering my brother's name. He paled. And here, Jonathan continued, turning another page, we have the trust fund. Supposedly for Claire's education. All transactions trace back to you. His finger landed squarely on my father's name. The silence was suffocating. My father's lips pressed into a thin line, fury trembling beneath his skin. He wanted to explode, to crush me with his usual thunder, but for the first time he couldn't. I found my voice, steady, quiet, but undeniable. He told me I deserved pain. That my place was beneath you. But here's the truth. My place is above the lies you built your lives on. The monitor beside me beeped faster, like it understood the weight of my words. Jonathan leaned closer to my family, his tone final. Claire doesn't stand alone anymore. He has the law, the contract, and the truth. What do you have? Nothing but fear. For once they had no comeback. No cruel laughter. Only the sound of their empire beginning to crack. And as I watched them squirm in the harsh light, I realized something chillingly beautiful. Revenge didn't always roar. Sometimes it whispered. My father finally snapped, his fist slamming against the hospital wall. You think papers will save you? We are your family, Claire. Without us you're nothing. You'll always come crawling back. The words were familiar, rehearsed from a lifetime of control. But this time they didn't pierce me. They bounced off like dull arrows against armor I never knew I had. Jonathan didn't flinch. Threats don't change signatures. You robbed her future and now you're terrified she's building one without you. My mother leaned forward, her voice syrupy sweet. Claire, darling, don't let outsiders poison your mind. We only ever wanted what's best for you. I laughed. a sound sharp enough to slice through the room. Best for me? You pushed me down a staircase. You stood over my broken body and said I deserved it. Was that your version of love too? Their silence was the only answer I needed. My brother stepped closer, jaw tight, his voice dripping with menace. You think one contract makes you powerful? I'll make sure you lose it all. I'll ruin your name before you even step back into the world. But Jonathan was ready. He pulled out another file, my brother's debts. Gambling slips, unpaid loans, texts threatening collection. He slid them across the tray like a dealer stacking cards. If you want to play ruin, we'll play ruin. But you'll lose faster. The color drained from my brother's face. His bravado cracked, leaving only the boy who always hid behind my father's shadow. I straightened, ignoring the pain screaming through my ribs. My voice carried the weight of every scar they had carved into me. You've taken enough. My money, my trust, my safety. But you don't get to take my future. Not anymore. The room grew heavy, their fear as thick as smoke. I could see it in their eyes. The dawning realization that the power they'd lorded over me for years was slipping, falling into my hands. And for the first time in my life, they were the ones afraid to look at me. The air turned suffocating, thick with the kind of silence that only follows when masks start to crack. My father's face reddened, but his voice came out quieter now, a desperate hiss. You wouldn't dare take us down. We're your blood. I tilted my head, studying him like a stranger. Blood doesn't excuse betrayal. It amplifies it. Jonathan opened another folder, emails printed in neat rows. Here's your proof. Fraudulent transfers from Claire's contract deposit, funneled into offshore accounts before she even signed the papers. Your names are all over it. Judges love paper trails. My mother gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. My brother cursed under his breath, pacing like a caged animal. I leaned forward, ignoring the stab of pain in my side. You always said I was weak, that I wouldn't survive without you. But look at you now, trembling because the truth finally has teeth. My brother tried again, his tone shifting, softer, almost pleading. Claire, you can't do this. We're family. Don't drag us into court. We'll fix it. We'll make it right. It almost sounded convincing, the kind of apology I'd begged for my entire life. But I caught the flicker in his eyes, the calculation, the lie waiting to strike once I lowered my guard. I smiled, not kindly but cold. You taught me manipulation. Thank you for the lesson. But I'm better at it now. Jonathan placed the final envelope on the table. Photographs. My father at secret meetings, my brother exchanging cash with men in shadows, my mother signing documents she swore she'd never seen. Evidence stacked higher than their excuses. Their faces fell. Their empire was dust before it even hit the courtroom. I reclined against the pillows, exhaustion and triumph warring in my chest. For once, I don't have to shout to be heard. The truth will do the screaming for me. And in that moment I realized revenge wasn't fire or fury. It was quiet, precise, beautiful. My father's composure finally shattered. He lunged toward the tray of evidence, desperation twisting his face into something almost unrecognizable. Jonathan moved first, sliding the files safely out of reach. The thud of his chair echoed like a gavel striking, final, unarguable. You don't understand, my father roared, voice cracking. If this goes to court, everything we built, gone. The house, the business, the name. You'll destroy us all. I held his gaze, my voice steady as ice. You destroyed yourselves the day you decided I was expendable. My mother crumpled, her tears falling fast, but even they felt hollow. She reached for my hand, but I pulled back. Her touch had always been conditional, warm only when I was useful, cold when I wasn't. Claire, please, if you love us. I cut her off. Love doesn't mean letting you bury me alive. Not anymore. My brother's face darkened, fists clenching. Fine. Do it. Drag us down. But don't think the world will believe you over us. We'll paint you as bitter, greedy, ungrateful. Jonathan calmly pulled out a small recorder, pressing play. Their voices filled the room. Recordings from earlier, mocking me, admitting to theft, my father's cruel line, "You deserved it." The color drained from their faces. There was their own words, undeniable, irreversible. I leaned forward despite the ache in my body, every word deliberate. For years you tried to convince me I was powerless. But you handed me the weapon yourselves. Your arrogance wrote your downfall. The room trembled with silence. My father slumped back into his chair, beaten not by fists but by truth. My mother's sobs turned into quiet rocking, as if she could cradle herself against the collapse. My brother stared at the floor, jaw trembling, his mask finally stripped away. I exhaled slowly, letting the weight of the moment settle. I wasn't the broken girl at the bottom of the stairs anymore. I was the woman standing above their ruin. And the best part? They knew it too. The weight of years pressed against the sterile hospital walls, yet for the first time it didn't crush me, it freed me. My family sat broken before me, stripped of their power, their pride dissolving in silence. Jonathan closed the files, his voice calm. Claire, everything is in motion. By tomorrow injunctions will be filed. Their accounts frozen. Their deeds reversed. The law will do what love never did, protect you. I let his words sink in, each one a balm over wounds that had festered too long. My father lifted his head, eyes hollow. Claire, please. Don't do this. We're family. Blood is forever. I met his gaze, steady and unflinching. You're right. Blood is forever. So are scars. My mother whimpered, clutching her rosary, whispering prayers too late to matter. My brother leaned forward, desperate. Just tell him to stop. Don't let this happen. You'll regret it. I shook my head, my voice steady, final. No. What I'll regret is if I let you hurt me again. This isn't revenge. This is balance. Jonathan stood beside me, silent but unwavering, as if the very air had shifted. And in that stillness I realized I didn't need their apology. I didn't need their approval. I only needed the truth in myself. I exhaled, letting the years of pain leave with my breath. My body still ached, but my spirit no longer did. I looked at them one last time, their empire collapsing not with fire but with silence, with law, with truth. Goodbye, I whispered, a word that tasted like freedom. And as Jonathan guided me out of that room, the monitor's steady beeping behind me was the only sound marking the end of a war I had already won.